Welcome to Biz Filing's Expert Insights.
I'm Greg Corombos. Our guest this week on Expert Insights is Jennifer Krottinger. She is a business opportunity specialist at the Small Business Administration. In mid-August, she helped lead the certification process for women-owned small business owners at an event in New York City. But what exactly is business certification, and what do women-owned small businesses in particular need to keep in mind about this designation? And Jennifer, thanks so much for being with us.
Well, thank you, Greg, and I'm happy to be here today, and I would be delighted to share with everyone about SBAs, the Small Business Administration's government contracting assistance programs that are available for small businesses who are looking to do business with the federal government. The United States federal government is the world's largest buyer of goods and services. We buy over $500 billion per year. And because we purchase that amount, Congress has mandated that 23% of those dollars be set aside for small businesses. So within that 23%, we offer these certifications through what we call our contracting assistance programs that level the playing field for small businesses to do business with the federal government so that they have a maximum practicable opportunity. And within that 23%, 5% has been set aside for the women-owned small businesses. And that also includes economically disadvantaged women-owned small businesses as well. And in the past fiscal years, I believe that goal for the 5% has been met once, and that was in FY 2015. So we're looking to meet that goal again. So there's going to be some changes to the regulations. And that's one of the reasons why we're leading these seminars on the women-owned small business certification right now.
Fantastic. You teed up almost all of my questions here, so let's get into them one at a time. But since our audience includes existing and aspiring business owners, we don't want to leave anyone behind at the starting line here. What does it mean to be certified, and why is it important?
Okay, what it means to be certified, and I'm speaking about federal certifications because different government entities offer their own certifications, and unfortunately, but somewhat fortunately, they're not interchangeable. You know, we can dream and we can certainly say at some point we would love them to be all interchangeable, but right now, any of the certifications that I mentioned here today are federal. So for any business, whether you're at the starting line or whether you are established, we offer 9 different certifications that are available. The only one that you do have to be in business and not a startup is our 8A Business Development Program. But once you obtain one of these certifications, because each one of the certifications has their own criteria and eligibility, that allows you to compete. I was talking about that 23% that government has set aside for small businesses. That allows you to compete within that pool. You can certainly be out in that other 77%, which what we call full and open competition. So that's large, medium, small, even all the way down to micro entrepreneurs. Anybody can be in that 77%. But in order to be in that 23%, you've got to be a small business. Within that 23%, 5% has been set aside for women-owned, 5% for small disadvantaged business, which also includes 8A, another 3% for our service-disabled veterans, 3% for Hub Zone, which is historically underutilized business zone, and then also the 7%, which includes total and partial small business, has been set aside. So in order to get into these percentages, or what we call set-asides, you've got to obtain one of those certifications. So say, for example, something has been set aside for WOSB, since that's our primary topic here today. In order to compete for those WOSB contracts, or the ED, which is the economically disadvantaged women-owned small business, and I think I've already said that, but we like to speak acronyms here, you've got to have that certification to go after that specific contract, because if it's been set aside for WOSB and or EDWSB, in order to be awarded that contract, you have to have that designation. So that's what it means to be certified.
How does the SBA define a small business?
There are a variety of different ways that small business can be defined, and we use a few different definitions. However, the generally accepted standard format across the board that's used in federal government acquisition or procurement is based upon what we call the North American Industry Classification Code System, or your NAICS code for short. And I'm going to give a little tip here, and then I'll hop back on the NAICS code. SBA, there is absolutely no certification or certificate or anything out there that SBA offers as a small business certification. And I know that may sound a little strange, but there are some entities out there or private companies out there that will give you for X amount of dollars, and we're talking $700 and up, a certificate saying that you are a small business. There is no such thing. So I just want to put that tip out there that there is, because I've seen one business, and one business was too many, that paid $700 for an absolutely beautiful certificate, but it was meaningless. So going back to the NAICS code, how we define a small business and across the boards and acquisition is according to the NAICS. We have on our website, SBA.gov, a size standards table. Dependent upon your industry, you will either be categorized in goods and services or potentially and manufacturing, because some people are in both types of fields. It will be based upon either your average annual receipts or your number of employees. If you fall into the goods and services, it's going to be average annual receipts, and it's over a 3-year period. However, that is in the process of being changed to a 5-year period. If you're in manufacturing, it's going to be on your number of employees, and it will stay the same for 3 years. So while they're looking at changing the goods and services to 5 years, manufacturing will always be at 3 years for now. And what is on that size standards table list? I believe it's 86 pages or so. And you would just sort through that, and you would identify your industries because they're based upon families. So say, for example, you're in IT services. So then you may locate a few different NAICS codes that are applicable to your business, because the federal government buys according to your NAICS code. And then once you identify that NAICS code, it's a 6-digit number. There will be, we'll go back to IT services, because we know IT services is goods and services. There will be a size standards number listed out, and again, because it's goods and services, it's average annual receipts, and it will not be the same for every single industry. So just know that the number that I'm about to give out does not hold true for every single industry. It will say, let's say, for example, 11111. That's 6 digits. IT services. The average annual receipts is $36.5 million. So a business is considered small if they are at $36.5 million and below. Once they exceed that threshold, then they are no longer considered small. So that's how it works. And the same holds true for manufacturing. So say, for example, you were doing 2222222, so there's 6 numbers, and you were manufacturing these computer chips. And the industry standard was 750 employees. So the same holds true. So 750 employees or less, you're considered small. But once you go over that, you're no longer considered small. And that's how it works.
We're talking with Jennifer Krottinger of the Small Business Administration. And Jennifer, in your earlier response when we first started the conversation, you also mentioned that it's very important for small business owners in general, but also women-owned small business owners, to know that the SBA has issued a rule change for certification. What has changed?
What is going to be changing for the WOSB program specifically is right now it's a self-certification process. So that means it rests upon the women-owned small business to, for lack of a better terminology, to get themselves through the process. So technically they're self-representing. And what that means is it falls upon them to do the certification process themselves. And so after they get through a couple of systems prior to our system, which is getting their DUNS number, getting registered in SAM, then they go to our site and certified.sba.gov, and they walk themselves through the application, or maybe they run, however they go about it, whatever their speed is. They do the application, and then they go back into SAM, and they will check the box. And then they're done. It does not go to a formal reviewing body. However, the proposed regulation change is going to formalize that to where they have to complete the application, and then there will be a sign-off by SBA saying that, yes, they are, in fact, a WOSB or an EDWOSB or both in order to compete for set-asides. They can still, in the proposed federal regulations for the change, they can still certify themselves as a women-owned small business. But in order to compete for those set-asides that I was previously mentioning that are for federal government procurements, they must have that stamp of approval by SBA, or what we call a TPC, a third-party certifier, in the future. So they can still go through that self-certification process, but in order to compete for those set-asides, they will have to have that approval. And then also one of the changes is that they will have to recertify every 3 years. So they will be subjected to a review that will be conducted most likely by SBA to recertify their eligibility on a 3-year basis. And then also another one of the changes is the thresholds to come in line. Right now, the economically disadvantaged thresholds are at $750K for personal net worth, $350K for adjusted gross income, and then $6 million for assets. Those will stay the same, but the proposed regulations are also going to bring the 8A program up to meet the EDWOSB program as well. So those are the changes that are on the horizon.
So much good information in there, Jennifer. Almost out of time, but I do want to ask you a couple more quick questions here.
Sure.
So the certification process gets you in the door to do business with the federal government. What other advice does the SBA have for small business, women-owned or otherwise, to stand out in the government bidding process?
Number one, self-market. Get out there and self-market to whatever agencies that you want to do business with. So once you've identified your NAICS code, there's a site that's called usaspending.gov. Go on USA Spending. It's a public database. Go to Award Search. Click on Award Search, tab down to Advanced Search, and then set your filters on the left-hand side. Plug in your NAICS codes and any other relevant information you want to query, and it will show you what agencies are buying what you're selling. After you have that information, you're armed with that information, you will have your capability statement. If you have not already developed your capability statement, now's a good time to develop your capability statement, and we have partners such as the Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, also the Small Business Development Centers and the Women's Business Centers and the SCORE chapters that can help you at no cost develop this capability statement, because that is your business resume for the federal government. So they're expecting you to have that. After you've got your capability statement and you know what agencies you want to target, talk to those small business people, and how you find those small business staff within these agencies is going to the small business programs page on their websites. So whatever federal agency you're looking at, there will be a wealth of information. So that's how you're going to start to stand out with these federal agencies, because you're demonstrating to them that you're doing your homework. You're coming prepared because your time is valuable, their time is valuable, and being able to target market just is similar when you're in the private sector. You're going to want to, you want to figure out who is your market and who is going to buy what you sell. It's the same holds true in the public sphere, in the public sector. And then also there are different ways that you can develop rapport with these federal agencies. And I'm going to give you a quick example of one firm that was in the 8A program, and she was also a women-owned small business. There was a specific agency that she wanted to do business with. And because she did not have any past performance with this agency, and past performance is one of the keys to federal government contracting, but even if you have private sector experience, you can bring it over. She checked in with them on a regular basis. And by regular basis, I mean, I think it was on a monthly basis that she was sending them updates. And she continually sending them updates. And because the federal government tends to be creatures of habits, it's highly important that if you start building a relationship with a federal government agency, I mean, sure, you can disappear because extenuating circumstances happen, but you want to continue to build that relationship and rapport with them. So when an opportunity came up, this firm was in construction and there was some dredging work to be done. Because she had checked in with them on that periodic basis and because she was consistent in her efforts, she was awarded a contract when an opportunity for her services was available. And we're not talking about, a smaller contract. We're talking I believe it was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, in the $1 million range. So really, to make yourself stand out, you've got to also know what your niche is and what your competitive advantages are, along with everything I've said as well. Get as many of the federal government certifications as long as you meet the eligibility criteria for all of the certifications. Obtain as many of them as you can. The only one that you cannot hold indefinitely is 8A. A lot of businesses, and this is a total business decision at the end of the day, and I say more power to you. If you want to go after those large $1 million, $1 billion, I think we may even offer $1 trillion contracts now, go for them. But also know, as a small business that's starting out in the federal marketplace, or even if you're established, any federal procurement that is under $25,000 is not going to be advertised. And a lot of the times, because they're not advertised and because a lot of people want to go after the larger contracts, again, more power to you, you know where your business lies, there tends to be only one offerer. So this is a great way for businesses to enter into the federal market space and start to also build their performance with federal agencies.
Real quick, Jennifer, before we let you go,
Yes.
give the website one more time.
SBA.gov.
SBA.gov. Again,
Yes.
so much great information. Jennifer, thank you very much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Greg. Happy to be here. Thank you again.
Jennifer Krottinger, Business Opportunity Specialist at the Small Business Administration. I'm Greg Corombos, and for more information on this topic, please call Biz Filings at 844-202-0707.
Biz Filings, a Wolters Kluwer company, has been incorporating businesses since 1996.